Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RC Groups. We're here with Hank Rauhaus with the Toledo RC Swap Meet and Expo. What is going on, Hank?
What's going on, Jim? Thanks for having me on.
Now, do people call you Hank or do people call you Henry?
Well, it depends how my wife's feeling at the time. She calls me both. Most people in this arena, they call me Hank.
Gotcha. We're here talking to Hank about the Toledo Trade Show. Now, if you're like me and have gone to the Toledo show for years and years, hung out with Norm in the bar there at the Seagate Center,
Yes, sir.
um, you're very familiar with everything. A lot in my life, I have to say, a lot of crazy things happened at that Seagate Center for me, and we won't go into that. But I will say that I'm super stoked that Hank has revitalized this show and literally brought it back to life. Tell us a little bit about how you did that. I mean, 1 minute it's announced they're not going to do it again, and then what happened next?
That's exactly what happened when the year of COVID, they announced, the week singles put out their notice. They said, the show had a 62-year run. We're gonna call it quits. I had a gentleman in Pennsylvania that used to swap with upstairs named Dave Vinay. Dave gave me a call. He's like, Hank, I want to do a show at Seagate. And I thought he was crazy. And I'm like, and I told him, I remember, I said, I'll tell you what, if you can get Seagate to agree to it, I'll do it. Well, doggone it, they did. Seagate was very gracious that first couple years to help us get started. And so from that point, we picked up Jim Hawkins. He's another founding father per se. And we sat down and decided, what do we want? And it started as a swap meet. The first year we had the show was called Toledo RC Swap Meet because that was it was. And we were always we were always upstairs as swappers when we were the weak signal, so we wanted to be on the main floor. So we figured
So
we had to.
were you running the swap meet back in the old days? Was that
Nope,
no?
we
You
weren't
just
running the
worked there.
swap meet, but what it was is myself and Dave Monet, we had two of the biggest rooms up there. So we were some of
Okay.
the largest swappers. And it was just one of those things. What do you do in April? You go see your buddies. It's like an RC family. You talk about crazy things. I'll tell you what, I know exactly what you're talking about. I went to the weak signal show from, when I was 8 years old over at the sports arena. I remember that. You talk about a swap meet. That was as tight as it could be. You have to wait in line a day or two just to get a table. And so we wanted to have something where we could all go back to what we all enjoy doing. That's this hobby. And
I
so
the first big show I went to was Toledo Trade Show with Hobby Lobby. I was hired as the PR marketing guy for HL, and we were setting the booth up. And I'm not going to tell you what Bubba Spivey said to me, but I knew Bubba through his airplanes, and he walked up and he made a comment to me, and I couldn't believe that what he said, and b that this happened at this trade show, and c that it was Bubba Spivey talking to me. I couldn't believe all these. And then fast forward, another thing that happened to me is I was working on a foamy with Chip Hyde, and
geez, those are big names.
yeah, so Chip said, "Hey, let's go to my car and get this airplane out." But we had to walk from one side of the trade show to the parking lot side, and he said, "Watch this," and I didn't know what he meant. What he meant was he couldn't walk 3 feet without somebody wanting to shake his hand or talk to him. It took an hour to get across the trade show floor.
I can believe it. I remember my first memory of the show was Dave Brown when the year he had his. Remember, he had that beautiful flight simulator. Because I was a cute kid, he let me play that for hours. And I did it for hours and hours. And then I remember seeing Dave Brown later that day at the restaurant over at the bar area, and he was a different Dave Brown. But I'll tell you what, he was a great. He's a great guy, and it's interesting that people that just like Tim Jetski. I mean, I can call him Tim. I prefer to call him Mr. Jetski, but I find that that's so cool that we're at a place in the hobby where now I feel like we're giving back, but we're part of it too. And that's what it all goes down to that. It's I'm so excited because some of the people that were at the Weak Signal show, some of the old commercial vendors like Dubrow, Balsa USA, Rich's Brew, National Balsa, Cal Or, Valley View RC. These are, they're back. And we're not trying, we can't ever recreate that show. What we have is a big swap meet, and we have a big vendor section, over 600 spots, over 1,500 paid attendees.
So the first year it kicked off, and you were like, "Okay, we did it." And then tell me how it started to grow from there, and what it's become now.
I have never been more nervous than Friday about 8 a.m. of the first year because we owed so much money. We had no, we had some money, but we had to get a certain number. It was 842 people. We needed 842 people through the door at $10 a piece, and that would cover. And that first year when we hit 1,000 by 11 o'clock on Friday, I mean, I felt like I was in heaven. And you know what I remember most is I remember everybody coming up and shaking my hand, just saying thanks, thank you, thank you. And
Right.
there were
Right.
some mistakes. I'm not going to lie to you. That first year was a little rough, but it almost like it didn't matter. And we sat down at the end. We had enough money for deposit the following, next year. And at that point, we're like, let's do it. So we signed up for a 3-year contract with Seagate at the time, now the Glass City Center, and the rest is history. As long as we can
Right.
keep afford the next year down payment, we're going to keep doing this.
So you're saying that the Seagate has a new name and it looks different. What did they
Yeah,
do?
this is what it was interesting because we started during COVID. So, all the COVID mandates were in and blah, blah, blah. But what is it's still owned by the city of Toledo. The city of Toledo is actually taken over the Seagate Center and the Mud Hens. It's
Yeah.
all one big conglomeration now,
Oh, okay.
and they've turned the Seagate Center. The rename was the Glass City Center, but I will tell you what, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. Totally different venue now. Beautiful. Still has the huge 3 sections, 75,000 square feet, but it's gorgeous. And also the hotel, the old Park Inn, they've redone the park. And if you remember, there used to be that second hotel that was knocked
Yeah.
down. They
Yeah.
have that
I
up
never
too. So
stayed there. Yeah.
I did not either. I always stayed in the Park Inn, but they have 2 sections of a hotel. So you get off the elevator left, and is single rooms. If you turn
Okay.
right, they're all suites. It's amazing. We do have a block of rooms available. I already found out. I just found out they called me. They're like, we had to give you more rooms. You already sold your first block out.
That's
Again,
awesome.
well, I had no idea we were responsible for the block rooms we didn't sell out. So I've always been very careful with that. But here it is in January. We sold out the first block already. So they actually held back watching our numbers from last year. So they've helped us out too.
Hank, do you know Jason Cole? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Jason Cole, RC Groups, Jason Cole.
Well, let's welcome Jason Cole. What's happening, Jason?
Well,
Hey,
what's going? I
what's
just watched you
happening?
2 last week. How you doing,
Jason,
Jason?
Jason's
Good,
been
good.
in a top secret RC something or other that we can't discuss, and he just got back.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
So, Jason, we were doing a little reminiscing on the Toledo show and all our days there. Jason and I traveled. How many hours was it up there? 10 or 11?
I think it's more like 8, but in a big box truck, maybe with a ton of
Yeah. Stopping to do
supplies and
podcasts
products.
along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My wife
I
has
remember
actually been
seeing you
with me.
guys. I love when you had the stickers that said my RC group name.
Oh,
They were
yeah, yeah.
stickers
There you go.
because I mean
Yeah.
I'm Big Hank 13. I remember that.
My
Well,
favorite
tell
thing
us
to
what.
do was go
Yeah.
stand on top of the trade show display at Hobby Lobby and yell, "Free hats!" And just like it's like feeding fish with free hats. Just
Throwing blood in the water and sharks coming up.
Doing a little chumming.
So tell us what we can expect this year. If somebody now, let's do this. Let's jump over and take a look at the website real quick. And it is 68 days away. The date is, which is very important, April 5th and 6th of this year.
If you scroll down too, it's kind of cool. And again, I always feel like I want to do our vendors right. You'll see the vendors from last year and some of the new vendors this year, but you can see some big names starting to come back. We're constantly talking to our vendors because without them, we couldn't do the show either. And you asked what to expect. Last year, we had over 600 tables and premium booths. It looks up front, we have black curtains for our commercial vendors. In the back was almost 400 tables for swap. Just a low key vibe. It's a real nice vibe. Um, and we also have, it's kind of cool because like Perry, Georgia, or like Lebanon, PA, some of the big swaps, the commercial vendors don't have to be up front. Sometimes someone want to hang out in back. That's fine too. Because like I said, we all do the same thing. There's good old Rich's Brew.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Jason and I need to say hey to Rich. Hey, Rich.
He's actually a pretty cool cat too. I'd love to get down to Texas sometime because that barbecue he makes look pretty darn good.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I have a question about that. Can he ship fuel or is fuel unshippable?
Well, can I tell you a quick story about Rich's Brew
Yeah.
and our swap meet? Here's what happened. First year, I'll never forget this because I hated the man. He knows that. I love him now. But the first year, we found out through other people before he called me. He says, we're not coming. And this is after I talked to him for 10 months about coming. But the worry was there just wasn't going to be enough. And I'll be honest, as much as I hated it, I totally understand. So I talked to Rich immediately after the show, and I said I hated him. I got that out of the way to Randy. I'm like, hey, Randy, what can we do to make this work? He said, you got to help me out with pre-sales. So on a lot of the stuff I put out the following year, we did a lot of pre-sales. And I can tell you this, he's coming back this year for the third year in a row. And I know he's not coming back unless he's making some money. But, he feels a tie to it too. And he's given me some tips along the way on some things I could do to make it better. But it's kind of cool. He's still in the same spot he was at the Weak Signal show. All the fuel's out on the ramp. It cannot be inside.
Okay.
But a lot of his stuff is pre-sale. And I can tell you this, the last 3 years, he has left with no fuel. He does bring some, it's gone. He's a real good guy, a big supporter of the hobby.
Rich, I'm going to call you. I'm having an idea already.
Get his barbecue truck up here.
Yeah. So it's coming up. You have time to plan. We now know that there's a hotel room for you on one side or the other, depending on what you need. Jason, it is the opening day of the Mud Hens, but we're not sure if it's a home or away game.
That's important.
That's always tricky. Hey,
let's hope it's away.
I forgot to mention, and if I can real quick, also there's a static model display. There'll be cash rewards. We're doing a big push on Facebook here in 2 weeks. We'll start putting some stuff out. We're going to start an open Facebook group. We're going to try that, all about the show, because I want to make sure that people understand some of the people, not just commercial vendors, just regular guys are going to be there, because that's how we know each other. We swap in 5-state area. I'm going down to Perry, Georgia. It's like a family reunion anyway. We're all the same guys, all hanging out. So we're trying to really get the word out even more, because the more we get, we want to sustain. Also, Jason, I know you weren't here. I told Jim earlier. I just want to let you know. We're with AMA, partnered with AMA now. They're helping us out in kind, and we appreciate the AMA so much for doing that. But it makes us feel like they think we have something sustainable too. Because I'm all in. I love it. I'm a horrible businessman, but I'll tell you what, I love to have fun, and there ain't nothing more fun than 75,000 square feet. That's fun.
Of RC planes. And we were talking about brother Tim Jeske. Let's talk about the raffle.
Oh yeah, the raffle. Last year, I've talked to Tim Jeske for 2 years. Tim is in a unique position because he is president of the Weak Signals. And I'm not going to lie to you, there were some hard feelings in the beginning. And I knew all the guys, all of them. But the thing was, I guess I kind of get it, but they realize that, it's all about, we're doing this for us. And so last year I finally, Tim says, yeah, I'm there for you. I talked to him at his event up at the Weak Signals, had a swap meet. We were up there. I said, Tim, I need you. I want you because, one, you have an unbelievable business model, but you're local. I mean, you are the show. And they came last year, and I mean, he was so happy, and that makes us happy. They were real happy because it was a success for them. But the best thing is, the happier he is, the more gracious he is. So this year we're giving away a 70cc turnkey Raven.
Nice.
AJ Aircraft is donated the fuse. Frank Knoll and JR, we have the radio system, and Joe Lewis, unbelievable. I love those GP engines. We got a GP engine coming from Joe Lewis. So that'll be one of the giveaways. And we do a huge raffle.
Wow.
Last year we gave away $10,000 worth of stuff. We have probably, I would say, one of the nicest raffles you're going to see, all donated from vendors that are at the show and also vendors that aren't. And it's just a way we can generate money, because believe it or not, you guys know all about the finances of things. There's not a lot of ways to make money inside a venue. You can't sell food. You can't do this. You can't do that. So there's only 3 ways to do it. That's through the door, that's table sales, and that's our raffle. So right. We really focus on the raffle. We're super excited.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Well, everyone should be excited. And I was talking to Hank earlier about the energy of shows like this and what they do for the hobby. And they really are important. You can, pre-internet days, they were everything. Then the internet comes in and people say, I wonder how important this trade show is. And now we have the perspective of the other side of that theory. And I think they're super important to energize and get local guys not only excited, but to get airplanes in your hands. There's no shipping involved here, So
and actually, we are pushing. We've talked to Kiki a couple times now. Flex Innovations. And he's always worried about sales too. But I'm telling you right now, I got a hobby shop coming out of Tennessee that's a Flex dealer, bringing a lot of Flex. But the nice thing about this show, and I don't know why, but right now our expo, that we have people come with money they want to buy, and it makes the vendors happy. There for. And retention. I have very few vendors have dropped out. We're gaining each year, And I was so excited to hear from Dubrow, Fry Sky. They're like, we want to come to the show, and I didn't. Yeah. I sent him an email a couple years ago, so that means word of mouth is out, and these companies are coming to the show to show goods and, to sell some things.
Who's coming up from Tennessee?
Tennessee.
I'll Google it. I'll figure it out.
I'll tell you. Well, I just know the two. There's two swappers that come up, but I know that business wise, I'm not. Well, actually, I do know somebody. I don't know if you know TGK Connectors. He's a kid, but let me tell you something. I did a show for him. We're talking about the brotherhood of this. Second year at Toledo, he bought all this stock. $20,000 of stock to take to Flight Fest, and his work would let him off, and he was in trouble. I said, you know what, Charlie, you've been good to me. Let me come down. So I drove down to Tennessee. He gave me all his product. We split profit, and I sold for 4 days at Flight Fest as TGK Connectors. That's what this brings. I mean, we're a brotherhood. I just talked to him today, so he's coming up from Tennessee. He's right on the front row. I mean, I can't tell you numbers, but I will tell you this: it's his biggest show. Besides Joe Null, and to me, that's a pretty good sign. Yeah. And I love that organic piece. I love the small businesses, but I like seeing the big businesses come back too.
Heck yeah.
Hobby King's coming back 4 tables. They're selling this year. They got mad at me last year because I told them if they come back, they have to sell. They came 2 years ago. They came. And so I gave them prime spots, 4 tables, and they didn't bring nothing to sell. I'm like, guys, they had some nice airplanes on the tables. I said, man, you come back, we got to sell. So they're coming.
Well, they
back.
have a lot of stuff coming in these days. So
I saw this show from last week. You brought those jets out. Those are nice. Yeah, that's not Durafly stuff.
Right.
And Durafly has a place. I've wrecked quite a few of those, but those jets look nice.
Yeah. Well, and there's more to say about that. Well, man, I'm super excited that you've revived this and for 4 years now and growing every year. What'd you say, by 20%?
Last year was just under 20%. The first 3 years we had at least 20% growth in both table and commercial vendors. Last year, commercial vendors in the front and back, we had just under 50. Up front, we had almost 30 curtain commercial vendors, which, I mean, that's what you want. And if they're coming back, they must like the show, again, because it's about what we like to do.
If you're watching this, I'm going to create a separate feature article on RC Groups so you can watch this and say, hey, I want to go there. Where is it? And I'll have all that information in this feature.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys giving us a little time and space. And like I told Jim earlier, Jason, when you guys get bored that first week of April, you come to the show. We can meet about 5, 6 o'clock. First one's on me.
There you go.
We'll see if Miss Ashley is free. It'll be like the old times.
Well, I tell you what, I couldn't do this without my wife. She runs the raffle for me. She's there. My family's there. My daughters are there. Everybody's there. It's a family affair. 3 guys. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you guys a lot, man.
All right. Well, we'll be working for you over here, and everyone check them out. Once again, that is, let me look at it. Hold on. It is Toledo rcswapmeet.com, and then also there's at least one feature article on RC Groups right now you can check.
Yep. Big push on Facebook coming, I promise.
All right, we appreciate you taking time and talking to us. Jason, don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, we're about to do the news of the week. This is kind of a go with the flow situation that's happening here. Hank, I'll ping you later next week and say here's all the stuff we did.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That show's a staple, and it was like if you could only go to a swap meet like one in the country, like that's the one to go to. Like, it was always awesome. So it's glad to see it, getting new life here.
I'm fairly certain it's the first trade show I ever went to when I first started in the industry with the whole Hobby Lobby crew, Kevin and Clay and Randy and all of those guys, and they were veterans. They've been doing it for years. So.
It's an experience. Yeah, it lives in.
It was intimidating too back then. There were all the RC notables and people that would be famous in the hobby, and they were all in the bar. They were in the restaurants. They walked them by. It was a little unbelievable.
Yeah, and we were small town, Hobby Lobby, and playing with the big dogs.
Well, I never thought Hobby Lobby was small town. Changing the way things are done.
Yeah.
Everyone, is Jim T. Graham and Jason Cole, as you probably have already guessed if you've been around this long. Last week, I thought, we did the news. We should have each week something that is we highlight, that we stand on for a little while. And so this week it was Toledo Trade Show.
Nice.
Jason, like I said, has been out, doing some RC stuff. And Jason, well, I'll tell you later. I was trying to figure out a YouTube thing for like 2 hours a day. And I was like, I wonder if Jason can help me with this, but I knew you were busy. So I'll hit you up next week. Do you want to jump right into the news?
Yeah, let's do it. Right. I'll start with my news,
yes.
Personal news. And this is a big one. I finally progressed to the point in my life where I have to go into the settings on my phone and increase the text font size. That's finally happened. I'm no longer like the kid in the RC world. I have to sit back and read my phone.
The good news is you look exactly the damn same.
It's a sad day. It's a sad day.
Well, big news on my side. This is super sad. I got to tell you, I have felt it since it's happened. I sold the big black truck, the Excursion.
The BBT.
You know, as it drove off, I was like, what have I done? But the things I forget is I had a guy who worked on my diesel, and he was the best. And he moved to Florida, and I had no diesel mechanic. I'm sure they're around, but I don't know of any. And I was really she was getting up there in years, not for that truck. That truck could last forever. But so anyway, there are a lot of reasons I got rid of it, but so sad, the BBT.
Yeah, I'm sad. You know how many stories I've heard you tell in that truck driving down the road to different shows? Like all of them, probably more than once.
Yeah, sure. More than once for sure. Well, a lot happened this week. So when we started doing the news again, I was like, hold on, this ain't working. 1 second. I was like, I'm going to change windows. What if we run out of news? But, we really never have run out of news. So
there's always stuff happening.
Let me go into a window or an entire screen. I'm going to go into an entire screen. I thought I had all this worked out, but I'm seeing that's it. I have it in the wrong window. 1 second. No one needs to see my menu bar. All right. And dead air. My wife told me the other day, she said, Jim, you don't have to talk all the time. And I was like, well, I wonder why I do that. And I know now it's because of podcasts,
Well, it works. I mean, I couldn't do it. I'm certainly not the best conversationalist in the world. So it's good that you're here to carry the show.
So instead of going in depth this week, I thought we would go over some highlights. And Jason, you can say, hey, we should talk more about this. Esprit has so many new things that come out and other things that come out. Sometimes I'm not sure if it's new or not. ZB, feel free to anytime you want, let me know, hey, this is new. Or how would ZB say that? Hey, Jim, this is no, I can't do that. Sorry, ZB. But this is the Elite T75, and I will click on this to say I went into great depth here to talk about this unit and why it's important. It's in our radio section, and basically it's a telemetry expander with backup battery management for Jetty, Gropner, Hot, Futaba, S-Box, and Power Box. So pretty robust there from a Spree model. And I don't need to tell you this. Just click on this big circle here and you can see everything I'm talking about. I also wanted to highlight the Jetty Studio. This week I highlighted Jetty Studio. Oh, and Jason, I was thinking of you when I made this. Is this something you use?
Yeah, I need to go look at it. It's not something I've used before, but obviously I'm a big Jetty guy, and yeah, I need to go see what all that can do for me.
So basically it analyzes the data coming out of the Jetty radio, and maybe many years ago I would think, who would even do that? But I look at the blogs every day, and the stuff that people are doing on stuff like this is rather remarkable. And I'm always like, wow, they're like the rabbit hole central here. So I'm sure this plays right into the rabbit hole that someone might want to dive into with that information coming off the Jetty.
Pretty awesome.
Blog of the week. You want to talk about that? I saw this pop up.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. It might be a discussion item. He's using the throttle delay on in this case it's Spectrum radios. I'm sure other radios can do it as well. He's using it in multiple ways as kind of a safety thing. So it allows him to, when you get out on the runway and you're getting ready to take off, you hit a switch instead of increasing the throttle stick, and it's like a slow ramp, a 5-second ramp up to full throttle. And so it allows it to be smoother, throttle ramp up and take off, but it also takes the load off of the pilot. So you're not having throttle stick, rudder, aileron,
Right.
elevator, manage all the things. It's not that hard, but if you're learning, it gives you kind of one less thing to think about and gives you, ability to use the rudder more. But he makes a case for it. And as I was reading the blog, I was like, this is interesting. I've never not thought about using it before. I wonder what other people think. So that's why I posted that.
That's brand new. It just hit. This land yacht thing has gotten some, especially on social media, people seem to be into this. I actually was in a real one of these in
Really?
Galveston Island. Yeah, where you
No
sat
way.
in it and you had a sail and the whole thing.
I did a kite buggy one time where you fly the kite and you sit in a trike and you drive it. I did the review on the Hobby King Bat 1 like ancient years ago, a long time ago, and it was so cool and fun and just so simple. It's just 2-channel, little steering and little sail, let the sail in and out, and you go drive around in some wind. But these are serious. This is like thousands of dollars, super high end, but
This
big.
would be cool FPV.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks like so much fun. I wish I had an area in like a beach or a salt flat kind of place nearby to go run something like this. But I just thought it was cool.
Like you could put a chicken or a dog in there.
You could, and these are big, and I do hear they're going to have smaller versions that'll be more affordable,
right,
for the everyman. But yeah, it's just cool. I just love interesting, cool things like this in the RC hobby.
Well, awesome is always awesome, and that is awesome. This just came out yesterday from brother Jason Merkel. Jason, if you're out there, I hope everything's good. This is the new updated and upgraded Cherokee 1.3. And
it's a good looking scale plane.
A metric ton of information, not to mention videos, which I reckon we ought to watch. And once again, in the news, we're trying to keep it nice and short, but informative. I'll turn the video up just in case.
I was like, that looks like a real plane right there.
Now, the first plane I ever flew was not a Cherokee. It was an Apache, I think. Twin engine. Yeah, I was friends with a airplane. What is going on here? I'd like to see the real airplane place.
That's the actual Eli Field right there. They're doing a flyover in the real plane, and maybe they're going to do a tandem flight.
Yeah, maybe they're flying the RC plane while the other one is above.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty. The trim scheme is very iconic.
Yeah, it's good looking. They've really done well with their factories and just getting the details and the manufacturing processes down to where these things, they don't look like cheap foamy airplanes. They look like really nice scale looking models now.
And we know they're probably super easy to put together and fly great. And you can check all that out. The mega thread. Now, so they have all these videos already out on this. And I'll tell you something. When a thread like this comes out, I just built a whole report on this. These threads will get 100,000 views. I did a thread or a post 2 months ago. It's got 57,000 views so far. But threads like this will live for years. They'll get 3 million views. In fact,
and they'll be filled with all the like the tips and tricks and things people find out about that specific airplane, right? Like, oh, you should use this battery mount or this battery fits better. Or I did this and modified it this way and it changed how it flew and made it better. Like so much information in these threads. It's amazing.
And in the thread itself, you can go to thread tools and you can go and find attachments. And so if you're just looking for pictures, you can go in there and do that. But the amount of views that a thread like this gets is just amazing. And it's a humble brag, or maybe it's just a brag. This is new. It's the silly stick from Aloft.
Yeah, okay. So the picture threw me off. I thought this was like an ultra micro plane.
Right.
Which is cool. But then I saw and it's bigger. It's like, yeah, I don't know. What is it? A meter or something? But it's a bigger airplane than it looks like in that photo.
I went out hunting and I was like, wait, I haven't heard of this airplane. And man, talk about a vintage design.
Yeah, like the old GWS slow stick back in those days.
But now that, I don't know if you're like me, who you've flown and built everything of all sizes, somehow the simplistic RC planes are really appealing now.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
Gone backwards. Yeah. And that's at Aloft, and Aloft really has a lot of cool stuff. Look at that. So simple. And I bet you could paint it if you wanted to. Although, don't quote me on that because I don't have one of these. Very nice. Hey, to a loft. We have the Emax Tiny Hawk. Jason, I thought of you. This is Jason Cole inspiration.
Yeah, I've got a couple of the regular Tiny Hawks, the non-freestyle version.
And I say, if you haven't flown one of these in the goggles, you're missing out, because you are. And look at this guy, just right. See, you can tell.
I mean, yeah, look at the face. He's having all the fun.
Goggles. And this comes, I'm fairly certain, with goggles.
Yeah, goggles, transmitter, ready to go. There's a version. Well, there's a version of it at least with everything.
Ooh,
but it's tiny, dude.
Sped up the video.
You can fly it anywhere. Yeah, flying it. This is a children's playground. They're flying through the slides and all the stuff that kids play on.
Dude, check this out. You know my mini whoop from way back when we all flew together?
Yeah.
I went to pick it up and the whole frame disintegrated in my hands.
It's that old.
I was like, I don't have a mini whoop anymore. What? So this is, now with this said, let's go see what it costs. I want to see what something like this might cost a man or person or anyone. Child.
I'm gonna go 130. Oh, 168. Okay, I wasn't too far off.
Okay, so with 168, I get
bind and fly. Okay.
Incredible, improved, HD goggles. Do I get that? Do I get the controller?
Is it HD? I'm guessing that's analog. It's got to be analog.
Let's see what the HD says.
Maybe it's analog HD now. I honestly haven't kept up with the technology on analog, because as soon as I switched over to the HD digital,
right, you're out of there.
Yep.
Well, this would be probably amazingly easy to fly, and once you get one of these in the air in the goggles, you'll realize, what have I been doing with my life? So
yeah,
it's good stuff. We're jumping down. Rev up your ride. This is a Horizon hobby sale. I'll just show you some of the things you can buy, which would be chargers, batteries, and some other things. This crossed my path, and I thought it's kind of my job to let people know that this is occurring at this very moment, because soon enough it will not. What the heck Wednesday, Jason?
Is it a good one? What the heck is right? Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I just wanted people to talk about it. Like, it's somebody riding a bike through a residential neighborhood, and
he's on the follow mode. Yeah.
He sets the transmitter down in his bushes, and he hops on the bike, and he's like, track me. And so he has no control. The transmitter's back by his house.
Do you ever do this? Because I don't know that I could personally ever do such a thing.
It's a novelty for me. You play around with it once and then you don't do it anymore. But
okay,
he's like, all right, let's see if it'll track me. And so he goes, and then he flies towards a tree, and the obstacle avoidance sensors work. And then it just says, maybe there wasn't actually a tree there. Let's just see if we can go through it, and just crashes. Like, it's not at the level of technology where it works perfectly. So don't fly through residential neighborhoods with active track on and your transmitter down by your house. It's just not going to end well for you.
Okay, before we do the last piece of news, I did get a blast from the past, everyone. Can I find it?
What is it? Oh, Maticus Gunnicus.
That's me.
I miss that dude. So what are we looking at here?
We're doing sound effects with our voices.
I don't hear the audio, but
you don't hear the audio.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, hold on. It's worth it. One moment. Let me unpresent. Stop screen. Present. Sorry, everyone. You got to get the audio in there.
I could see his mouth moving, but yeah, there was no audio. And then it was a couple airplanes hovering with dead silence.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
To share audio. Okay, we'll try this. We'll see if it works. Do you hear that? Oh,
I hear.
I didn't share the screen. Yeah, we're technological wizards over here. You hear that?
There any youngsters out there? No, negative.
No?
Nope.
Dagnabbit. Hey, everyone, hold on. It's worth it.
I mean, I could just do the noises.
You could.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to do entire screen, and I'm going to max it out. Yes. And that's on. It will work now. Trust me. But first, we're going to test it. Tell me what you got, Jason.
There it is. There it is. Now it's
All
working.
right, we're going to start over. This is
it's gonna be so funny.
When this happened, I just went in and snipped it out and then made a video and stuck it up and never said a word to anyone about it. And then today I went up and found it. Here we go. Suzuki.
Hey, y'all watch this.
My favorite is when he fades in and out. Like
when he does what?
When it's torque rolling and he fades the sound in and out like it does when the muffler's going. That was so good. Oh man, good time.
Very nice. I knew we were doing an interview today, so I wanted the blast from the past to be short because we're actually running pretty close to time here.
Yeah.
This is this is the last thing. This is you, Jason.
Oh yeah. So we have a lot of guys that have 3D printers on RC groups. The 3D printing section is huge. So when I find cool things that I think are neat, I post about it. So this is a 3D printed hovercraft. You can just use some plastic to make the skirt underneath, and it looks awesome. I don't know if you're watching this or listening to this in audio only. He's driving this around a garage, a car parking garage.
RC hovercraft.
And
it's almost entirely 3D printed. But before we get to driving this thing, let's rewind a little bit and I'll show you how I built it.
Heck, let's watch.
As for the design, I found this what seemed to be a fairly well-designed and easy-to-print hovercraft on printables. The link to the files is in the description below. And what's even better, I already have all the electronic components needed for building this laying around at home. Actually, more like I ripped them out of some old failed projects of mine. Same thing as far as I can tell. Let's try this out.
Print.
So he goes through the whole thing, like construction, modifications, things didn't work, things that did work.
Okay.
It's interesting. I found he's using hot glue to attach the skirt, which I was like, okay, I guess it works. But he started melting the plastic with the hot glue, which was funny. So, but yeah, it
FPV.
But yeah, got a camera on it.
Heck yeah.
Again, this falls into the highly unique and different kind of RC category that I love. So,
yeah, it's definitely RC. Put a big light on that thing.
Yeah, dude. But look at it; it hauls butt and works just so good. It's like, yeah, he stripped his servo and that, so he builds like these protector things to stick out the back, so when you crash into the wall, it doesn't hit the rudder. So it's just cool, fun. If you have a 3D printer, another fun project to go play with.
Man, this is what a camera and a hobby is all about right there. Somebody just making something. Well, everyone, that has been the RC news of the week. We've interviewed, his name is Hank in my email. I mean, Henry in my email, but everyone calls him Hank. Hank Rauhaus from Toledo, Swap Meet and Expo. And once again, I'll have a feature just for that you can go check out. It's not snowing anymore, Jason, so that's super awesome.
No, but it's like 100% chance of rain tomorrow, so no flying for me.
Yeah. On a personal note, everyone, I'm on the hunt for a Toyota FJ Cruiser, preferably a 2010. So if you know one, I don't really want to drive 8 hours or anything to go get it, but
and then we need Traxxas to come out with the 10th scale RC version, so you can have the RC FJ at your house.
So I was on the phone with Rory from Horizon yesterday, and he said, I want to come to Nashville and go honky tonkin', and I want to shoot some video of if you get an FJ of our FJs. And I said, well, if we do that, I got to find an FJ RC truck, and we can RC around our FJs and FJs. And maybe if we can figure out one more way to be redundant, that would be good.
Have multiple scales. That'd be awesome.
Yes. Everyone, I'm Jim T. Graham.
And I'm Jason Cole.
Yes. I never
pointing
get this right.
Whichever direction.
And this has been RC News with RC Groups. Be sure and hit subscribe. There's no bell anymore, but people still tell you to hit it unless I missed that dang thing. Ooh, I caught myself. And be sure to hang out on RC Groups. I was just thinking while we were doing the news, the awesome part about this is there's so much cool things that we can just talk about on RC Groups. It makes a whole dang show. So it's
there you
good.
go.
All right.
We'll be back at it next week.
Yeah. Have a great week, and we'll keep collecting the news that you need to know.